So welcome everybody. This is the session 6 of Fire Basic Training Program session. This is the third hands-on session, right? On 12th May 2024. This particular sessions are part of the HL7 Fire Basics Learning, which is a FHIR India community initiative, which is being supported by HL7 India. Certain housekeeping rules. Please be on mute when the session is in progress. Of course, we are for hands-on session. We do have allowed you to unmute, and please do use your full name in the Zoom participants profile so that we know each other. Do ask questions on Zoom chat today. The volunteers are unfortunately occupied, and it's for today's session. It's only between me and JB, who we are trying to drive the sessions, but we'll try our level best to answer your questions as much as possible. So let me keep the chat also open just in case you. I'll try to keep an eye on the chat. You can ask me questions, and I'll try to respond accordingly. Right? Please do follow up and discussions on Zulip, and ensure that you're on Zulip. Right? We are still seeing that many of you are still asking where the recordings are, what is it, so on and so forth. All of these questions are answered on Zulip. So please do come out there. Most of your questions are answered, and no questions is dumb. You can ask any kind of questions in Zulip. It's a community that we are building, right? And so you will get a lot of answers from the community itself. Okay, so let's come to what is the session's expectations. Today's session, you can expect 5 things. We are going to continue the fire mapping what we stopped yesterday, and then we are going to create FHIR R4 JSONs in this session also, which is in a continuation of session number 1. The third thing that what you are going to learn is to work with a FHIR server. And today we'll try to create a FHIR bundle. I will try to touch upon, if time permits, using Microsoft Excel for FHIR profiling. JP, this is in continuation to one of the asks that you asked yesterday. After long thought process, I thought let me at least do a little bit of profiling. Okay, how can I even do profiling, or how can I create mappings for the projects that I work. Of course, whatever I'm going to show you is my method. You may like it or dislike it, but try to learn certain things from there, right? So that is one good thing about this particular community, is that each person comes up with their own style of working and things like that. So whatever is good, we take we take that as inputs, right? Okay, thanks. So again, FHIR India community is an open community of HL7 fire and interoperability enthusiasts. Please do follow us on various social portals. Use hashtag FHIR India, and do join us on the Zulip chat, LinkedIn, and as well as the community. Do join the Zulip and as well as LinkedIn group, please. Okay, so for today's session, please ensure that you download the contents. So if you come from a technical side of world, I'm sure you can if I have missed last hands-on, will I be able to participate on today's hands-on, or was it a prerequisite? Purushottam, it is not necessary. You can still learn. If you have some idea of Postman and a little bit idea of JSON and things like that, you can still catch up. I would still suggest you to try as much as possible. So if you coming back, To download the prerequisites, there are two ways. One is to download it as a zip file, and another is to clone the Git repository. Right? If you, I would recommend to use a Git repository so that you can know the difference between one update and another update. So I have put the links to both of them on chat, right? So please do download it and let me know once you have downloaded it. Once you have downloaded, and please put it on chat. Either you have downloaded Git or you have cloned Git or downloaded zip. Please put on chat as soon as you're done. I'll wait for a minute. Yeah. Great. Now that you have downloaded the required files, so this entire session from now onwards, it's 11:20. So it's going to be a minimum 120 minutes session. The first 30 minutes, we are going to go through a recap of last week's mapping session, where three groups crafted FHIR R4 mapping to a particular patient story. This particular mapping was again reviewed by a few of us separately, and we now understand that okay, there is a lot of more to be learned, right? So we did the mapping offline, which I'm going to showcase it to you, and then let's see some of the lessons of. We'll try to learn a few things from what this mapping has been done. So if Ms. Surubi is there on this particular call, a shout out to her. In case you are there, ma'am, by any chance you are there, yes, thank you very much. A shout out to her. She did help me. Thanks a lot, Surubi.
Hi, sir. Thank you, sir. I learned a lot too in the process.
Right. A shout out to her also, who helped me in preparing for today's sessions. So thanks. Please let us convey thanks to her, please. Okay. Now moving on. There's the chat. Where's the chat on? Just give me a second. I'm not able to see the chat window. Okay. So we will try to see the mapping that is done. That's in 30 minutes. In part B, what we are going to do is we are going to create a little. We will learn how how that particular mapping was converted into a FHIR R4 JSON. We will understand how it was created based on the previous sessions and understand the mechanics behind what we call as related resources, and a hands-on experience using Postman to send it to a FHIR server. You will learn a little bit about tips of the suggested practices of using Postman. Again, this is something that I have learned from persons who are not from the FHIR world, but from the API world of things, of a good way of using Postman. So I'll try to share that with you. Part C is order request scenario. We will actually be creating, this is for 60 minutes. The whole idea is to create a bundle order resource for the order request scenario. Follow along as we send it to the FHIR server, and so that you can get some practical insights. Part D is the profile creation, which is the last 30 minutes. I will try my level best. So let me try to put a time, put an alarm for myself for the next 30 minutes so that I can finish. Can one of you please be the timekeeper, please? It's going to be really difficult for me to manage everything. Can one of you volunteer as a
Sir,
timekeeper?
I can do it.
You can do it. Okay. So please keep an alarm for next 30 minutes and remind me. So by when we need to do the part A. So let me close this, right? So for today's session, we will be using a lot of ChatGPT. Using ChatGPT, in my opinion, is something that we need to learn. Otherwise, we are going to become obsolete. So as and when required, we will try to use ChatGPT. Okay. So first and foremost, let me go to my command prompt. So I have my code. See, I'll share my screen. So this is the command prompt. cd FHIR basics training program 2024. So let me open this particular directory using Visual Studio Code. So this is my working directory for the entire program. Let me close all. Right now, if you would have pulled in the latest, what you will see is that there is a new folder called as session 6. In session 4, that was last weekend, we did see the patient story, which is version 1, which now I have marked it as version 1. And then you have the patient story Excel file, which is again version 1. We have made offline changes to both of them, and let us look at both the versions. Give me a minute. Let me just open that up. So exercises session. And so exercises session 4. Right. So if we go back, this was the patient story, acute coronary syndrome. It had only 12 pages. And within this document, about this document, and we did see that there was master data. And we are talking about a hospital called as Get Well Soon Hospital, right?
Right.
Now, one of the things what you can do is, let's see if ChatGPT can give me some information, right?
Okay.
Create me a FHIR R4 JSON organization so FHIR R4 JSON for organization resource using the following data. Let me copy paste this and let's see what happens. So you can see that, in my opinion, this looks good because it's a JSON. It starts with resource type called as organization, right? And it says it's an identifier, of course. So what is an identifier? Identifier is like a code, right? Now, but what did we learn about identifiers? That an identifier should always be accompanied by who has issued this particular identifier. In this particular case, it is saying example.org/identifiers, right? So this is that's how a system is going to be done. Now, it can be any arbitrary. This does not necessarily need to translate into an actual website, right? But if it does, it is better, right? Next, name, great. It's Get Well Soon Hospital. Address. So address is an object, a square bracket. So which basically means you can have multiple instances of the address, and there is only one instance. And in this instance, the line is saying as 4403 Green Street. The city is Bangalore, state is Karnataka, country is India. Right?
Right.
Now, the same contact information. So look at the contact information. Contact information is also a
bracket.
So which means it's an array, right?
Yes.
So, but this particular array has two objects or two instances. Now, the system is phone for the first one, and the value is 0804134444523. It is some fake number. If it is an actual somebody's landline number, please ignore. Okay. And the next one, the next system, Madhav, please mute. Okay. The next object says it's an email, and it's on, and then you have the value Get Well Soon Hospital example.com. Now, is this a correct resource? The simplest way that what I can do is try to send this to a server and check whether it works or not.
Okay.
Right? So how do I do that? So for that, I need Postman. You can either use Postman or you can use Insomnia, but I have had experience using Postman. Okay. So let me just go to my workspace, which is supposed to be always like a workspace for me to keep sending data. Now, how do I send the data? So first and foremost, what is the verb that I need to use?
Post.
Post. And I need a server over here, right? So what is the server that I use? Let me go and try to search for a public Happy FHIR server. So you have the public Happy FHIR test server. Right? And what does it say? It says the base URL is this. How do I test this URL? One of the first things that you always have to do is take the base URL, okay, and put a /metadata. Metadata. Right? Now, if you, sorry, not post, it should be a get. Now, if you remember yesterday's JP session, JP was mentioning about having the metadata, the conformance statement. This is how you get a conformance statement. This is the first thing that what, in my opinion or my understanding, is that if you have to call your server as FHIR compliant, it has to at least in the minimum implement conformance profile, which is a /metadata. Now, how does one read this particular conformance, this capability statement? The capability statement, first of all, has an identifier, what is the name, so on and so forth. Somewhere below, it starts telling you, it of course says what are the various formats. So in this particular case, it says it allows you to post things in XML, JSON, and as well as Turtle. Okay, and the patch formats, these are the things that are available. And let's go a little bit down. What are the various resources that it implements? So within resource, it says, yes, account is implemented. Within account, what are the interactions that are implemented? Search type, update, read, patch, history type, delete, create, etc. are there. Now, I know that because this is a happy FHIR server, it basically implements all kinds of resources. Now, in your case, when you are creating a FHIR resource, do you need to implement all FHIR resources? Absolutely no. But your capability statement is what specifies is what you have implemented. It's a promise that yes, if those endpoints are hit, it is going to work fine. Right? So now let me try to use the same server, copy this, and to paste the patient resource. So
Organization resource.
sorry, organization resource. You are right. So / organization, and this has to be post body
No.
draw JSON. So let us see if whatever ChatGPT has given me, is it valid or not? Okay. Click on send.
There's a typo in there.
It says operational outcome unknown. It has
There is a typo.
Spelling of
There is a
organization
typo
is
in the
wrong.
URL.
Yeah.
Correct. You are able to see?
Yes, T is missing.
So now what I do, I'm going to copy from here and paste it here. And now let me try to send. It's worked. Right? When I send, when the JSON payload was created, the ID was missing. Why? The ID is actually generated by the server. It is now saying that, okay, you have created a data in the server. I am returning back your primary key. Tomorrow, if you want to, in any further request, you want to get this particular data, what does it say? It says use this particular ID. Correct? How can I use this particular ID? Let me create another one and say get organization. So use the same thing. Say get organization, and then whatever ID that was given back, right? Paste that here, and then now if you look at send, I've got exactly the same info. Why it was created. Now, how can I be sure that it's exactly the same thing? I can cross check. What did I post? Get well soon hospital. This is the line. This is everything. It looks same. And even the identifier is different. Sorry, identifier is exactly the same. You now, are you able to understand the difference between an identifier and an ID? Identifier is a business identifier, which can be used in a day-to-day language, right? But whereas ID is a technical number, it's a technical identifier, it's a technical ID. It is used only for
Internal purpose.
internal purposes. If let us say we had to print our organization on a piece of paper, what is going to get printed? Identifier or ID?
Identifier.
Super. So now I think so you have a better understanding of what is a resource, how do we send a resource, etc. In session 1, I showed you how you can create the same resource in Visual Studio Code. So now let us move to Visual Studio Code. So for organization, this FHIR JSON has already been created. But when we create it, I always have this ID. Why? Is because I am not posting this anywhere, right? But if this particular organization has to be referenced somewhere else, I need the ID.
Yes.
So when you handcraft it, always put the ID. But when I'm going to send the same thing to the server, I should remove this ID. That ID should be replaced with the identifier what the server gives me. Clear? Now, all of you have downloaded this. All of you have session 6 files.
Yes.
Now you have in session 6 you have FHIR JSONs, which has the organization, the OPD, doctor, patient, and patient visit. Right? What I will now do is I will try to quickly explain you. Any questions on the organization? Nothing. It is straightforward, right? Now let us look at the OPD doctor. Now this is the place where things are starting to change. One of the concepts when I created the initial word file, right? I try to emulate how it happens in the real life world. You get information and you think this information is sufficient. It is never. As you read this information and you process it, you will find that no, you need additional information. If you start comparing the word version file 1 and word version 2, there are going to be changes. Why? When we ourselves started creating the FHIR resources, okay, we found out no, this information is not there. That information is not there. So let me now quickly open up the version 2 of the file. Section 6, ACS version 2. This is version 2. Okay. Now in version 2, you can see that it has increased by 1 page. So let us try to understand where did this page increase. So there is no change up to page 1, page 2. Now in in page 2 there is changes, right? In persons, now what we have said that okay, Dr. Siddharth is an attending doctor. His identifier is this, but his qualifications, he has done his MBBS and he is a medical, he's done his MD in general medicine. Now, can I just take this information and ask ChatGPT to create me the data? I think so, it can, right? Create me a FHIR R4 JSON for practitioner resource using the following data. So great, it's given me the resource type, which is practitioner, name, use is official, text is Siddharth, right? Qualification, identifier, it is just using some kind of, for qualification, it has used identifier. Code coding and MBBS, it's used it for coding, right? And it is used something. So in this particular instance, it is, while it might be structurally correct, it is semantically wrong. Why? Because this should have been an identifier, right, for the doctor, not for the qualification. So let us see the correct version for this particular doctor. So we start with the resource type, which is a practitioner. Again, I have an ID over here. Name, use official. So name.use is official. Family is Siddharth. Given is doctor. Right? And then we have the identifier. This identifier is coming from this particular system. http://getwellsoonhospital.org, which is a fictitious website. It doesn't exist. /practitioner-ID. So this emp-med.-01 is being provided by this particular system. Okay. Manikanta, I think in contact array, system and value should come under telecom. This was at 11:38. Yeah. So Manikanta, whatever, were you referring to the one that what ChatGPT gave you?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Of course, it is incorrect. You're right. Okay. Why have we added qualification? it is not given in the document and it is not mandatory, we are just assuming that it is MBBS. Okay, very good question. If you look at version 1, qualification was not given, but in version 2 it is given. So imagine that I went back to the client and I said, I want to know what is the qualification of this particular doctor. My client responded that this particular doctor, Siddharth, he is not only an MBBS graduate, he has done his medical, he has done his MD, and he has done his MD in general medicine. Now, is it mandatory for me to add qualifications? Typically, see, it is not mandatory, but it is recommended, right? You put yourself as a shoe from a patient's perspective. Wouldn't you want to know what is the qualification of your doctor?
I should, I must.
I must, right? So, and that is the reason why we have put the qualification. Now, this is a particular tactic that you have to learn, or this is a particular, how do I say, it's a knowledge that you should learn. Okay, what information is mandatory for my business? And as a business analyst, right, you will already have that kind of experience, and over experience you will start gaining all of these things. In any case, my intent was, okay, fine, if some how do I convert this into a FHIR, right? So let me go open up, just give me a second, there are too many ones that I have. Right, so let me go to Visual Studio Code. Right, so in qualification, how many qualifications does the doctor have? 2 qualifications,
Yes.
right?
MBBS and MD.
MBBS and MD, and hence if you see qualification, under qualification there are 2 codes, right? There are two objects. The first object, code coding system, says that this is coming from, again, the getwellsoonhospital.com/qualification codes, and this is the code, and the display is he is a medical doctor, but the text is MBBS. Please understand, MBBS is an Indian terminology. In US they are called as MDs. Okay, now next is the second one. Again, it's a code that is given by the same system. Okay, and this is the code and this is the display. Okay, so this is how an OPD doctor has come. But one of the things within a doctor, which is in a practitioner one, let me just try to add a little bit more information on this. So let me go to hl7.org/r4/practitioner. Right? Now within practitioner, can I link a practitioner to an organization? The answer is no. If you have to map a practitioner to an organization, then what do you need to do? You need to use a different resource altogether. Okay, so that resource is called as a practitioner role. This is conformance, security, documents, others, individuals. So under individuals, you have patient, you have practitioner, and you have practitioner role. So what does a practitioner role do? So first of all, practitioner role has an identifier, okay, period, and here you can see it's a practitioner and organization. Now, how do I understand this? Let us go back to the theory of database. If you have 2 tables which are linked with each other, okay, and on both the sides you have, let me not use this as an arrow. Okay, so let us say there are these 2 tables, right? So you have a doctor and you have an organization. Organization, right? Sorry about the spelling mistake. Okay. What is the relationship between these two? Between an organization and a doctor? Can one doctor work only in one organization?
No, no, one to many.
So one doctor can work in multiple organizations, right?
Yes.
Which basically means then this is one dot dot n, or in this side again I'm going as this is something that what some of you may understand. Okay, in one organization will only one doctor work?
No.
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 So which means basically the relationship between doctor and organization is a many to many.
Many to many.
Correct? Now what does our RDBMS theory say? You can never have a many to many relationship. If you want to have a many to many relationship, if you want to maintain that, bring in a intermediate table, okay, something like organization hyphen doctor, okay, and this middle table will break the many to many relationship, where this is the table which is going to maintain the which to many relationship which is actually valid. So let us say you have doctor ABCD and you have organization 1, 2, 3. A1 is valid, A2 is valid, A3 is not valid. So that is what is maintained in an interim table, right? And this is how they are, right? Here there may be star, okay, but between this and this, it's a one to many, and between this to this, it's a one to many. I am not going to teach you about database theory, but this theory most of us know. Okay, what I am trying to say is, if you take it from a table's perspective, this is the practitioner table. This is the organization table. This is the practitioner role.
Yes.
Right? Now, when we go into practitioner role, it says that you have to provide me a reference of practitioner and as well as organization. What is the reference that I have to provide over here? The reference, whatever was returned by the server. If let's say tomorrow I create a practitioner, right? Let's say I create a practitioner and then I want to link that practitioner to this particular organization. I need two references. No, two IDs. One for the organization itself and another is for the practitioner itself. Great. Now, so let me go and try to post this particular practitioner, whatever I have created. Now, what is it that I have to do? I have to say r4/practitioner. Okay. Go to body, go to raw and JSON. So let me send this. Right. And if now I have to just create another practitioner role, where are we on the time? Can I create one practitioner role?
Yes, you can. 11:49 it is now. So you started at 11:22.
So 11:22. So I have 11:20 means
So,
11:50. Just on time.
2 minutes, sir.
Another 2 minutes.
Another 2 more minutes. Okay, let me see in 2 minutes will I be able to create an organization role. Okay. So right click new file 02A. Okay. Practitioner role .FHIR.JSON. Okay, so what is it that I need to do? I need to create a resource type of practitioner role, and within this practitioner role, I just need to have an identifier, right? And for identifier, what is it that I have been doing? I have always been using this particular system. identifier. So identifier, with an identifier, what is it that I need? I need a system, right? So this is a system, and then I need a value.
Value.
Okay. So this is not qualification codes, but this is basically doctor or codes. Okay, and I can give anything over there. So value. One of the things that I do is I don't like to do ABCD. I have got this nice website called a random key generator, which will generate random keys for. So this is the value, right? And after that, what should I do? I should basically next is give the two references, right? Let me go back to the website and try to understand where is my website. Okay, this is the website. So under practitioner role, I have an identifier. Okay, let me give it as an active, and I need a practitioner and an organization, right? So let me put a control space and say active is equals to true. Why am I getting this one? Remember, how am I getting autocomplete is because of first one that what we did. Practitioner, under practitioner, it's a reference. And in reference, what should I give? I should say practitioner slash whatever the practitioner value ID was. So this is the placeholder ID from practitioner, right? And the next one, what should I give? If I go back to practitioner role, I need to give the organization. Okay, and everything else is not mandatory for now. So let us see if it works. Okay, so organization, right? And organization, again, all I have to do is I have to give a reference, and organization slash whatever was the organization ID that was there. Now, let me put that here and save this. Now, let me go back to here. Have I sent the practitioner? Yes, I have sent it here. And I have the organization also, right? So for organization, this was the resource ID. So now when I have to send the practitioner role, what I have to do, I have to say post practitioner role body raw FHIR JSON, take this FHIR JSON, put it here, and I have to replace these. What did I get it for practitioner? Was this practitioner? Practitioner role. What is this? This don't say. Don't say. Okay. This was a practitioner. So replace this with this. And what is it that I got for organization? This is the value, which ends with 226. Let me see if I send this, what happens. It is giving me an 400 bad request, and in the resource type operation outcome, it tells me the reason why. Purushottam, should we do it along with you? No. This is just only, you can do it offline. Okay. Now you can see the practitioner role has got created. Now, it's all just all unsaved data, right? How do I ensure that I don't lose my work? Because if I just close all of these things, right? I lost everything. Of course, if I would have said, how do I save? The first thing what I would suggest is create a workspace. For example, I have already created a workspace called as FBT2K24. I cannot forget this, is because this is the name of my GitHub repository also. It is FHIR basic training. 2K is for 2024, 2024. You can give whatever name that you want. Okay. Since I already have that, what I will do is I'll create another new workspace. Okay. So create a workspace, create a workspace, blank workspace. Okay. FHIR basic training 2K24. Okay. Copy to. After I have created a workspace, okay, create a collection, give the same, okay, let's say hands-on training. Under that hands-on training, create a folder. And let's call this a session 06. In session 06, what is it that first I want you to run? I want you to run the organization. So let us create the organization first. So add a request, create organization, right? And this was post.
Yes.
And let me just put up the body raw JSON, paste this here. And what was the public happy server? This is R4 / organization. I hope I have not made a mistake this time. Click on send. You will have to do 2 saves. One is on the top. The top save button will save the request. Here, when you do a sample example, I normally like to, what I have been taught was make this as successful. Okay. And the way how it gets saved on the left hand side, under session 6, the create organization, under that it is successful. The IDs are stored here.
Even if we do not save the data, if we go to if we sit into another machine, we will not get any information.
So if you want to send this to another machine, let us say, okay, let's say you change this URL and then save, and you send, then you will get another response, right? Then you can save it. But anyway, for today, what I want all of you to do is this steps. Okay. Now, and that is where if I go back to my presentation, now I will not use in a presentation mode. Okay. Let us just use in a normal mode because I keep switching over. Part B. Okay. So we are actually doing part B. We are exploring the creation process of various FHIR R4 JSONs, understand the mechanics behind the related resources, hands-on experience, and send these samples to FHIR resources. Okay. So we were supposed to start this at 12 o'clock. Okay, we are starting this at 12 o'clock. We'll try to finish this in the next 30 minutes. By 12:30, of course, we are lagging behind, but I hope you are getting the value addition, right? So in the next 30 minutes, what I want you to do is I want you to do exactly the same set of steps. I'll finish the remaining 3-4 steps and do it on your systems. And all of you have to create the FHIR organizations. All of you have to create the organization, the doctor, and the patient. All these 3 JSON resources have been given to you, right? I don't think it's very difficult to do. So you have created the organization. Now, after we have created the organization, let me close this particular request. Under session 6, do this and click on add request. And this is, we are going to create doctor. Again, over here, what is it that we are going to do? We are going to do a post. Here we need the URL. So instead of organization, what is the URL that's going to be there here?
Practitioner.
Practitioner. Go to body, raw, JSON. Now, what am I going to copy? I'm going to copy the OPD doctor. Copy this, but I'm going to remove this ID. That was only a temporary ID. And click on send. How many times are we supposed to click save? Twice.
2 times.
First, we are going to save the request, and then we are going to save the example. When we are going to save the example, mark that this is a success. It's a successful response. Okay. Then after that, let us create a third add request. Now we are going to create the patient, right? So for create patient, post, take the same URL, replace the practitioner with patient. Body, raw, JSON. Where am I going to get the JSON? The patient one is already there here. Paste this. Does the patient have any references? No, it does not have any references. Just remove only the ID. Okay. I could have linked him to the organization, but okay, fine. I am not going to do it. So click on send. Let us first spend another couple of minutes on looking at this particular patient. So resource type is patient, name use is official, family is Krishnagiri, given name is Ravindranath, this is the gender, date of birth. We have an identifier. Now, if you look at identifier, how many objects are there with an identifier? You have two objects, right? The first one is from here to here. What is it that we have encoded? We have encoded this TN18ER some value. The type coding system is from here. This I have explained in the first class itself, that it is coming from table V20203. People who are coming from V2 background can now understand that table 0203 specifies what are the various identifiers that can be used for a person. And in that particular set, DL represents driving license.
Driving license.
So this is the driving license of the person. And similarly, the next identifier, it's the same system, 0203 over there. That list already says MR means medical record number. And this is the medical record number of the patient. And this is his address. Nothing beyond that. All we have encoded is his name, his date of birth, his gender, date of birth, the two identifiers, and the address. And within address, we have line, city, state, postal code, and use. Okay, so let us try to send this patient. Did we send? Yeah, it has already been sent, and it's already been created also. So let me save this example also. This. Now comes create patient. Create patient I have not saved. Let me save this. Okay. So organization created, doctor created, patient created. When I create the fourth one, I'm going to create patient visit. A visit for that particular patient. So body, raw, JSON. But first, let us look at the visit. What does the visit have? Nothing much. The resource type is called as encounter. It has a particular visit number. How did I get that visit number? If you go back and refer to the story, what we did was, okay, this entire textual information, right? When receptionist Ms. Devika inquired about the reason for visit, patient Ravindranath replied, I am suffering from such and such. So receptionist created a visit with chest pain as the chief complaint. The HIS generated visit numbers so on and so on. Right? Receptionist asked to wait this one. If I look at what is the data that I need to create, so I have a visit number, I have a visit reason. Okay, the status is, of course, he's arrived. What is the visit type code? What is the visit type name? We are now saying that it's OPD and it's outpatient, right? And this is the provider reference, this is the patient reference, and this is the service provider reference. We created three resources: the organization, the patient, and the provider. All of these three are, whatever you are seeing in yellow, are placeholder identifiers. Now, if I take the same thing and if I make it into a FHIR JSON, this is how it would have looked like. Resource type is encounter. There's a temporary ID that I have given. Identifier is, okay, this is the visit number. Reason code, I don't have any codification for that. Look at over here. This is a reason code which does not have an identifier. This is allowed. This is permitted, but not recommended. Okay. But since this is chest pain from 2 days, it is something what the patient is saying, and it is not yet codified. Okay. It will get codified later by the doctor into an ICD code. So status is arrived. Class is ambulatory. Okay. This class is something that comes from FHIR. The next one is type. Okay. The type is ambulatory. It is coming from the V3 action codes. Okay. And the text is outpatient. Who is the service provider? It is a reference. Subject is again a reference. Participant, it is an individual who is a reference. Why? A participant can also be beyond an individual in an encounter. It could be an animal. You can create encounters for animals too. Right? Okay. So let me take this and try to send it across to the FHIR server. When I'm going to create a patient visit, I now have various references which I have to replace. Remove this ID. All this remains the same. Subject reference is a patient, right? So now what I will do is I will expand the patient. For patient, the ID that was returned to me by the server was this, which ends with 43. Is participant is the practitioner. Oh, sorry, participant individual. It's not a group, it's a practitioner, specific practitioner. So I need to get it for the doctor. So for the doctor, the ID that was returned ends with 240. And service provider. Service provider is the organization itself. Change this to what I got from organization. Then
URL.
URL. For visit, what is the
Patient visit.
encounter?
Encounter.
Encounter. Okay. Send. It's created successfully. Okay. Save. Save as example. Okay. What I will do is, for the same thing, let us say, in case of patient, I am retaining the original patient ID. And let's see what happens. I save this as an example. Failure. F stands small for failure. Okay. Incorrect. What does it say? That patient / this is not found. Okay. I don't want to save this. Don't save. So I hope you're clear now of how to create a postman collection,
Yes.
right? So how much time do we have? Well, 11. We have the next 20 minutes, 19 minutes for you to do this hands-on. It will not take you much time. It'll hardly take 5 minutes, 5-10 minutes. That's it.
So, Arun, a question. So, so we have, for the reference, we just mentioned patient slash ID. So which means that ID, it will look up for the current system. But if you're sharing this data with other organization, so because the same ID will be available in the other FHIR server also, so we can specify the absolute URL also, like with the entire URL, so that even if it's shared with other organization, even though it have the same ID, for example, ID 10, it will be available in the both systems. So in that case,
Yes. The IDs between two servers are going to be different. And there's a knack of how do you match these two. Because if you're saying if there is system A and system B, obviously their identifiers are their IDs are going to be different, right?
Right.
So what is it that you do? It's a good problem to solve. I'm not going to solve that today.
Okay. And one other thing I noticed, if I submit the organization, I mean, creating a new organization resource, if I click 5 times the post request, it's the same data, it creating the 5 resources. And even I tried to pass the ID, which created in the previous step, still it's creating duplicate records. So that need to be handled in the application, right? Like FHIR server.
Yes. So you can handle it in two different ways. One, to ensure that things are business identifiers are unique. That is the work of the application. But if you want your FHIR server to validate that, then that is a place where you start modifying the server. The server, what we have is just a plain server. It's called as Happy FHIR JPA starter server. It will not. It has only the capability of storing, retrieving, and doing the various other operations. It will not do any kind of business validations.
So there is a possibility we can improve it, like enhance.
Yes. You can implement business validations within the FHIR server also.
Okay.
For example, one example, like you said, is right the business identifier. If I have already created an organization with that particular identifier, it should not create once again. That's a technical implementation. Purushottam, the ask is correct. Create organization, patient, doctor, and then create encounter. Can one of you share your screens as you do it so that others are also going to be inspired? Sonia. Yes, Sonia, if you want to share your screen, please go ahead.
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Organization I've already done. This is the
Okay.
ID which I have got.
Cool.
So now I'm going to do the patient.
Okay.
Organization and then patient. I need to do a plus. Then post. Then here it should be patient. And then body. Then raw. Then I'll paste the thing over here. And I need to give. Do I need to give any organization ID over
No,
here?
no, there's nothing linkage for patient. Just remove only the ID field.
ID field I need to remove,
No, no,
right?
ID, yeah. That ID you have to remove.
Even if we leave it, it's not considering. It doesn't.
But it's a good practice to remove that. It is not considering. I know that, but it's not a good practice to remain that ID, right, in a request.
That's right. Doing the right things.
This way. Is it okay?
Remove the complete line, please.
I've already removed.
Yeah. Looks good. Looks good. Yes.
And I'm sending the request.
Yeah. Send the request. Save the request. Save the response.
Okay, so
Save
patient
the
is
response. Save the response below. Save as example. And
patient.
mark this as success. Square bracket success.
Yes. Save. Now I'll go for uh practitioner role.
So one of the things, Sonia, is that you should close the tabs. Otherwise, the number of tabs will keep on increasing. It's a good practice. As soon as you have finished in Postman, close the tab. So the success and patient is what you have created, right? Close the
Yes.
tabs. Hover over the tab and close it. And don't create tabs here. Close the patient also.
Patient.
Yeah, that's also closed, right? Now, this
Yes.
untitled request is also, yeah, close that. No, that is something that you had created. Close this. What you can do is go to on the left hand side, there is session 06, right?
Yes.
When you hover that and you get a 3 dots,
Yes.
and then click on that
Okay.
and create add request.
Add request.
Yes.
Okay.
Give the request name here. So here, what are we going to do? We are going to create doctor. We are going to create a doctor.
It should be post. Here it should be practitioner role.
Practitioner. It's not practitioner role. Practitioner.
Practitioner. Practitioner.
Okay. Correct.
Then I'll go here. This is my OPD doctor.
Correct.
This
OPD
is
doctor.
the one.
That's correct.
Control A, Control C.
Control A, Control C.
And I'll go to body, raw,
JSON.
and paste.
Paste. Remove the ID line in line number 3. Okay. And then send. Great. Save request, save response.
Save. Save as example.
It's a successful response. Square bracket success. Okay. Now close the 2 tabs, the success tab and the doctor tab. What are these other tabs? Do you want to save them?
This were from the previous sessions.
And you have not saved them.
No,
What if your system would have crashed? Or system
I know it. I need to do it again.
So today you learned how to save it, right?
Yes.
Immediately. Okay. Now again go to session 6, 3 dots, over on session.
Okay. Over in session 3 dots, add response. Add request.
Yes. And here we are going to create.
OPD doctor.
Finish creating OPD doctor. We are going to now create
Oh, okay. Encounter.
patient visit. Patient visit, yes. Patient visit.
It should be post.
Post.
Here it should be encounter.
That is correct.
Now I need to copy the thing. Encounter means patient visit.
Yes.
Control A, Control C. Body. Raw. Will be.
Remove line number 3 first. And then you have to replace the references.
References, right?
The 3 references.
Patient, doctor, and
Organization.
organization.
For service provider, it's organization. So
Yeah.
So
Delete.
when you created the organization,
This is the ID.
please save this, save the exam, save the response. You have not saved the response, please. Here, save as example on the right hand side. Bottom pane, right hand side. Go back to organization. Post organization is there, no? On the top.
Yes.
Yeah. Now on the bottom pane, wherever you copied this ID, no? In that pane, if you come on the right hand side, there's a save. Yeah. You're not saved that. Yeah. Success. Right. And now you copy this ID.
I've already copied.
Copied it. Go to your
patient visit.
And replace the reference
for patient.
No, you copied from the of the organization, right?
Organization I have already put.
Test. Okay. Next, put it for
patient.
Patient. Yes.
So I go here, and this is the one.
Correct. No. It's only the last after slash.
Yes.
Correct. And then there's a third one, right?
Practitioner.
Participant reference. Participant. Yes, practitioner.
That means doctor.
Doctor. Yes.
Hari. Yeah.
Send करो. Successful है. Save करो. Save both request and response. First always save request and then response.
Okay, so the like inside the raw body which I'm putting.
You first save this as success within square brackets. Okay, now you ask a question.
No, like upper side, whatever I'm putting the JSON, that is a request body. That is the request.
Correct. So
and
if
what I'm getting,
side,
that is the response.
That is the response. Right?
Okay.
So we are completed 5 minutes before. Anybody? So there were some questions on the chat. out of context question in FHIR server, how these FHIR resources will be stored, what format, table or what? Good question. So the data is stored as tables. You can configure the server to various databases. Like I have configured it personally for Postgres. Will that logic be written in any language? The language is written in Java. And for where can you find that particular project, or you want to know more about that particular project, let me paste the link over here, which is basically FHIR.
Shall I stop sharing?
Yes, thank you, Sonia.
Welcome.
FHIR.io. The server. This is for Purushottam. Okay. And you can look at the documentation of the various servers. Okay. So technical people, if you are interested, please post on LinkedIn. We will try to conduct something for you on FHIR. We are, again, this particular session is sponsored by HL7 India. It is not sponsored by FHIR, but FHIR is something, it's an open source, and we have used it in our previous Connectathon also. Prem Nivas. While fetching the patient information, can I get the complete organization details as well in JSON? Currently, while fetching the patient details in GET request, it returns only the managing organization ID. So when you are always fetching, right, you are fetching for a particular resource. So if you want to fetch multiple resources, that is out of scope of today's session. Yes, Arnav.
Hi, my question was regarding the random key that you generated for one of the IDs in the beginning, right? I didn't follow that. Could you explain why you did that?
Okay, so let's say you're a business analyst, right? And you're in the process of creating sample FHIR JSONs for your organization. Now, these sample FHIR JSONs are actually interrelated, right?
Yeah.
And so, for example, in the scenario what we saw, the patient visit needs to refer to an organization, it needs to refer to a patient, and it needs to refer to a doctor. How will I tell my colleagues that these three are interrelated? So that is why I just give a placeholder ID, and I use those placeholder IDs in my references. Yes, Ravi.
Hey, just a quick one. Under the patient visit, we have an encounter resource, right? And under that, we have identifier, and then we have system and the value. So my question about the value, so this value need to be an dynamic, right? Not an hard-coded like right now in our JSON structure, it looks like. So your thoughts?
Is your question on account, or is your question on
visit encounter?
Visit. Okay, so visit identifier. Is it?
If you need, I can share my screen.
Yeah, please share your screen and ask question.
1 second.
That patient visit value is given in the document itself. From there, it is being chosen.
Okay, is it up?
Yes.
Okay, so if you can see here under this, particular patient visit, so we have this particular ID. So I'm just concerned about this ID. Is this need to be an dynamic one, or should be a hard coded?
No, this actually comes from the system.
Come from system, right? Yeah. Perfect. Perfect. This is the question.
It comes from the system, but in our case, it is coming from the Word file.
Okay. Fine. That's good, because I just want to be, make sure, like, here I'm going to replace all these, references value, but I'm not replacing this particular guy. So that's why I'm just having a curiosity, like this should not need to be replaced with some another ID, or this need to be, remain same for everybody, whoever is.
It is not this is an identifier. It's a business identifier.
Okay.
Right? So, for example, you are printing a bill.
Mhm.
You are printing a sales invoice.
Mhm.
At least in India, what I have seen is most sales invoice will have the patient medical record number and as well as a visit number.
Mhm.
So imagine this is to be as a visit number that's printed on the invoice.
Patient visit number, right?
Visit number, yes.
Oh, okay.
Right? But your IDs are your database primary keys, foreign keys.
Yeah, that's fine. That makes sense. These are the database IDs, but don't you think this need to be as well some dynamic value
It
that
should
we can
be a
create?
dynamic
One of the one of the resources.
It should come from, if let's say from an Indian context, it should come from your from the HIS.
Right.
The HIS table, you may have something called as a visit number.
Right. Exactly. Okay.
If you are talking from an US parlance, you may have something called as patient encounter.
Mhm. Exactly.
You will have a patient encounter number.
Perfect. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Okay, great, good questions. And we are on time check. We are at 12:32. Time to move on to the next part. This is going to be slightly tougher. So please let me know once my screen is visible.
Yes, it is.
So now we are in part C of today's program. So which we need at least 60 minutes. We will see of how we can create a bundle resource for an order request scenario. Okay. And in this bundle resource request, we are going to already use some of the mappings that we have done. Surabhi madam, did we already put the mapping over there? No.
Sir, which mapping? Bundles mapping?
Bundle mapping. Did we do it? Or
No, we have only done the resource level.
let us look at the Excel file then. Session 6. But I think so the service request mapping was done last week, right, JP?
Yes, we have done a service request.
Okay. And can you just narrate the experience of that mapping?
And me or like whoever was there in that group?
So it was done in your session, no?
Yes.
So I have flashed it on the screen.
Yes. I think we did for only one of the orders, right? And apart from the information in the story, we also considered few other attributes like assume the priority was urgent, the intent was original order, so that we have little more information around that. And we used this nomad coding system for capturing the ECG information. Try to create with basic minimum information. And as you can see, the subject requester, you have given a placeholder, whatever patient ID and the practitioner ID, those things need to be mapped. That's why.
Okay. So JP, I want one help. Can you keep this Excel file opened and okay, let me try to. Can I open it side by side? I think so I can. Let me see.
Yeah.
Will this work? So in FHIR JSON, what I will do is I have a patient visit. Let me create one more file 05. Now I have multiple service visits, right? So I'll make this a 05A service request for CBC. If I can do it like this, Well and good. Otherwise, I will want your help, JP, so that you can tell me. You can narrate.
Yeah, I have opened in case you need my help. Okay.
Okay, great. So, how do?
It should be ECG, not CVC.
Oh, sorry. Let me then make this for ECG. What do we start? We start with always a resource type. So resource type is service
Request.
request. After that, according to this particular mapping, is I need to have an identifier. Okay. Identifier, it's showing as an array. So since it's an array of objects which is known, right? So you need to always have a system. Okay. Although over here it is not mentioned, any identifier value should always have a system. And what is it that we have been taking previously? We are saying that, okay, we are going to have this as a system. So let me take this as the system for service requests. Okay. Service hyphen requests. Again, I'm telling again and again that this not necessarily translate into a workable URL. Okay, but ensure that your systems are unique for a given code set within your implementation. Now, then this has a value, right? And now I'm going to take this value. So which one? Should I take this or should I take this? Now, in this particular case, it is incorrect because sorry, this is right. This is identifier dot value, right? So identifier dot value should be this. No, it should be this. Why? I'll come back to this. Now this is a typical normal mistake that we do. The requisition number. Okay. Again, I need to have a system, and let me take the same system over here, just only replace the last one. I will call this as CPOE requests. For people who do not come from healthcare background, CPOE means computerized physician order entry. Okay, so that particular system will, so where a doctor can place many requests, right? One request in our example has actually 5 orders. One request has 5 orders. The way how FHIR has designed it is saying that for each and every 5 orders, create a separate FHIR request. Create a separate service request payload. And let us try to understand that by going through the specification itself. So let me go to the resource list. Where does service request come from?
Clinical.
In which part is it? Individual entities, summary.
Care provision. Care provision. The fourth column.
Fourth one. Request response.
No. This is the 5th column, 4th column.
4th column. Care provision.
Fourth one.
Service request. So it is part of care provision. Right? Now, when we open service request, what does it say? Identifier that is assigned to this order, and requisition is a composite request ID. And if you click on requisition, it says, it gives you the comments. Requests are either linked on by based on relationship, one request fulfilling another, or by having another common requisition. Requests that are part of the same requisition are generally treated independently from the perspective of changing the state while maintaining them after initial creation. I'll try to explain this in simple English. If we go back to our word file, how many orders has the doctor placed?
5 orders.
5 orders, right? Now this is version 1. Let me go to version 2. Okay, so this is version 2. If you look at version 2, I have added one more table. The requisition ID is exactly the same thing for everything, but it is an order ID which changes, which is clearly mentioned here. No? For further evaluation, this is my requisition. So Dr. Siddharth is saying that patient has to undergo ECG, CBC, troponin I, troponin T, 2D echo, and myocardial perfusion. For him, it is one single requisition, right?
Yes.
But each of them, who's going to handle ECG? Who's going to do cath lab? CBC, troponin I, troponin T is going to be done by lab. 2D echo is done by cath lab, and myocardial perfusion is going to be done by imaging department. Are all of them going to be done at the same shot? Obviously, no.
No.
If you would have read the patient story, what is conducted first? ECG is conducted first. Next one, 2D echo is conducted. Then he gives a sample to the patient gives a sample to laboratory, right? And then the myocardial perfusion is conducted on the patient. So there is something called, there are two people, there are two entities that are involved over here. There is an ordering entity, which is the doctor, right? And that order, somebody has to respond to it, right? These are called as ancillary care systems. So Dr. Rajiv, to put a perspective on our conversation in the morning, right? You have orders, right? Without orders, can the laboratory perform anything? Without orders, can imaging perform anything?
Usually not.
Not. So now when it comes to profitability, there's always a tiff. Doctors will say that profit is mine. Imaging will say that profit is mine. That revenue is mine, right? And that's where a few years ago, we had resolved this problem. Anyway, so coming back. So in common terminology, JP, what is it called? The two entities, one is ordering entity, another one is fulfilling entity, right?
Yes.
So the ordering entity, is it only doctors? No. Doctors can place orders, right? Nurses can place orders. Yeah. A secretary on behalf of a doctor can place orders. All these three actors fall into the ordering entity. Who are the fulfilling entities? There are many. In case of OP, the typical ones are clinical laboratory and radiology. In our instance, we have put a cath lab also. When you go to an inpatient perspective, okay, a surgery is an order, but the surgery is performed by many people, many resources, so on and so forth. So this ordering entity and fulfilling entities, if you understand, right, you will know that not all orders are fulfilled at the same shot. Each of the order needs to be tracked separately. And that is what FHIR is saying. Since each order needs to be tracked separately, create a separate service request. But these orders can have one master number, and that is what is called as a requisition.
Requisition.
Now, JP, this is my thought process. Can I correct your?
Good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Right? Okay. So now if I come back to creating the
Legend order.
so we have an identifier and we have a requisition. Next, we have the status, right? So what is the status? Service request dot status. So it is directly status So status is active. I need to put a comma, and then I put another comma. Then intent. Intent is what? This is the original order. Original hyphen order. Why? It could be a. Is there anything beyond an original order? Yes.
Yes, yes.
It could be a reflex order. Please read up on reflex order. Okay. Priority.
Seems we missed to add the value in requisition.
Okay. In requisition, I forgot to add value. Thank you. This is the requisition value. Comma, priority done. Now service request code system. Code, we have system. Oops. Sorry. Code is an array, and within that I have to put an object. What am I doing? Service request dot code.
Code is not an array, it's an object.
It's an object. Okay. And in that coding, within coding is an object. Within that is a system. And the system, what I can now understand is that this is SCT, which is Snowmed CT codes.
That's right.
Right?
Another thing, service request dot priority is written as urgent, but you have written routine.
I will change that, ma'am. So code. So the Snowmed CT code for ECG is this. As a routine, is it? Let me put this urgent, comma. Can I put it as urgent too? Does it allow? It does allow. Code, system code is done. And then I have to put this as display. Now, what does this display mean? This display is, according to Snowmed CT, what is the text? This is the text. But what is the, for this entire thing, I can put a text.
Yes.
This is laymanized text. I can just call this as ECG. Some people call it as an EKG.
And in the previous sessions, we have learned that this text is optional. It can be there, it cannot be there.
Yes, correct. Quantity value, it is not, it's is going to be 1, is it? Okay, so comma. So service request quantity dot value is 1. So only once, perform this once, and then we have the requester, right?
Yes.
So the requester is nothing but a reference. In this particular case, the requester is a practitioner / some value, right? I'll just put it as XXXX for now. We know that this has to be replaced, right? And after requester, then we have the subject. Now, subject again is a reference to patient. Patient / some value. To save this, now what I'll do is I'll take this into our Postman session 6. No, I will not create this. Why? Because now I need more than one, right? Now this is just only an interim state, and this is the place where I need help of somebody to service request. This looks correct. 5A. Now, let me go here, FHIR JSONs, FHIR A, copy this, FHIR B. What is the second order? Is it CBC?
Yes, CBC.
CBC. Now, what should I change in FHIR B? Identifier, requisition, everything is same. It's just that this is going to change, right? So for CBC, what is the SNOMED CT code? SNOMED CT code for CBC. So this is the SNOMED CT code for CBC. And according to that, says complete blood count is the name, but laymanized time is the CBC. Quantity is 1. Practitioner, everything is remains same.
Arun, you are changing into a ECG file, JSON file.
I changed the wrong file. Control C, Control Z, 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 Z.
No need to delete the whole.
Why? Change this, is it? ECG, is this correct? I have to change the CBC one, right? So in CBC, all of this is exactly the same thing. It's just that this SNOMED CT code is going to change to 666 some number. This is going to change to complete blood count. And laymanized is CBC.
Arun, that identifier also you have to change value, it becomes 002.
Value is
Right, you're right. Identifier have to change. Anything else? No?
Requisition value should be the same, right?
Sorry?
Requisition value should be the same.
Requisition value is the same, correct. Now
And,
what I will do is I will make another copy and say mark this as 5C. And what is the third one? Can you give me the example for, so we have an ECG, we have a CBC. Give me the imaging one. It's myocardial perfusion, right?
Yes.
Myocardial perfusion. How can I abbreviate it? Myocardial perfusion, MCP. Okay. Not a very good name. That's okay. Right. So for myocardial perfusion, it's also urgent. What is the SNOMED CT code? SNOMED CT code for the patient story. Myocardial perfusion. Now one might ask, how do I do this dynamically? How can I get these codes dynamic? And that is where in FHIR you have another thing called as terminologies. JP, have we covered terminologies so far?
Yes, I mean, we covered bit around the sport system value set, right?
So do you want to give a few words, few sentences which is going to be related to how we are using the terminologies over here?
But system, right? That directs to all the different coding system. That
So,
will be result through this, that system information you're giving.
so if you are doing a FHIR implementation, which has more, which has, let's say you have an HIS, you have an LIS, you have various other systems, etc. Right? Typically, it is better if you have a terminology server. What does this terminology server do? Terminology server, first and foremost, it's going to be the keeper of all these terminologies, all these code sets, right?
Yes.
Like, for example, we are using SNOMED, we are using LOINC, we are using ICD. If, let's say, you have an HIS system, you have an LI system, you have an RI system, you can't keep copies on each of the systems, right? Instead, have one system which is going to maintain all the terminologies. Are you
Yes.
going to use the entire terminologies? No, not necessarily. You could have a subset of it, and that is called a value set. Am I correct, JP? Right?
Yes, yes, yes. I mean, value sets can be derived from one or more code systems. Yeah.
One or more code systems. For example, in case of a laboratory order, you now see that a laboratory order can be mapped to CPT for billing perspective, and for clinical purposes, it is mapped to so for billing it is CPT, for clinical it is line. And if you look at the lab results, right, it is line. Billing, they don't care. But what is more important from a patient care perspective is the results, not the order. But the result cannot exist without the order. So all these complexities in terms of my local code, what are the various code sets, what are the value sets, all of these implementations is supposed to be handled by what we call as a terminology server. This is the only understanding that I have. I'm yet to have hands-on experience. If you want to know more about terminologies, you should actually catch hold of one very good person. His name is Pramod Jacob. He was the track lead for terminologies. I want to work with him to actually understand what it takes to implement a terminology server. We had one very good person by name Revati. Unfortunately, she passed away. She was the core track lead, but she has given valuable information in the previous to previous year connected. And so coming back to terminologies, so whatever we are doing manual conversion, right, should have handled by the terminology service. SNOMED CT code for myocardial perfusion. This is what it is giving me. Okay. So this is the SNOMED CT code. Have I put it?
You're again updating in CBC.
Let me close. Mistake. Patient FHIR JSON. Close. So myocardial perfusion. Now this, what is the identifier? What is the order code for this? Is it 5 or 6?
6.
6. Right? That is urgent. This is the SNOMED CT code. What is the SNOMED CT description?
Shouldn't be using the procedure, not the finding.
Sorry?
The display say procedure, right? Not finding.
Yeah. Ooh, you are right, sir. So myocardial perfusion. And what is its group? Okay. Interprets as finding perfusion, finding defect. How can I find the procedure? You are right. Wow.
Can you check in SNOMED CT browser?
Can you help me with the Jinjo, please?
Okay, send the link.
I don't have the access to the SNOMED CT browser.
I send in the chat.
Okay. Accept. Not finding. procedure, right? Okay, great. So even I make mistakes. So this is the place where actually clinicians have much more knowledge than me. Okay. Save this. So the text was what? Let me take it from here. Myocardial perfusion is the text. Myocardial perfusion investigation. Great. Quantity is 1. So save this. So now we have 3 JSONs. But these 3 should be transmitted together, right? Let us say there is one system where all these 3 needs to be transmitted. Obviously, CBC is transmitted to different system, ECG is transmitted to different system, and MCP is transmitted to different system. I took a wrong example. I should have taken. Okay. In any case, let me try to make this as this is CDEF, right? Let me take ECG and CBC was 2. Third one was troponin I. Fourth one was troponin something else. And let me take the ECG, copy it for 2D. 2D echo. Okay. So 2D echo was
005.
fifth one. Okay. 5E 2D echo. Okay. 2D echo. Right. So 5 is 2D echo. Am I doing the right one? Let me try to find the 2D echo for Snowbit City code. Etel. Okay. Is this correct? It's okay.
Go up to the parent echocardiography procedure.
Echocardiography procedure.
Yeah, choose that echocardiography procedure. Yeah, open that.
And under that, you should be able to find it. Click on that, it should give you the
imaging ultrasonic echo. Yeah, that one.
Imaging of the heart. Right. Imaging of the heart, procedure on heart, chest imaging procedures. No, this is not right. Echocardiogram. No, echocardiogram of chest, right? Is this okay?
that's right.
That's right.
Yeah, you get, yeah, that is the one 40040701008.
Procedure. This is 2D echo.
And you need to change the value for the identifier. It should be 5005.
5. Okay, great. Now, 2D echo and ECG has to be sent to the same department. How do I bundle them up? How do I put them together? Okay, and that is where we are going to create a bundle. Time check. Are we still in the 60 minutes? How many more minutes for?
1 o'clock already.
Oh, we have crushed. Is it okay? Can we complete this, making it into a bundle?
Yes. Yeah, let's complete it.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Okay, great. So, let me now in FHIR JSON create a new file, and I'll call this as 06. Okay. So we are sending a bundle to cath lab. .FHIR dot JSON. Okay. Now, as always, source type bundle. When we start sending a bundle, let's understand a little bit of bundle. Let me close from here. HL7.R/bundle. Right. Now, what does bundle say? Returning a set, sending a set of resources as part of a message exchange. Okay. This is as part of a message exchange. Let us see a message. So, example request message. I want to see this in JSON, Baba. Switching. Let me go back to the bundle. Okay. So this is what we are trying to use. Bundle needs to have an identifier. Okay, and it needs to have a type. What are we actually sending over here is a transaction. Let us try to understand the various bundle types. Those tabs, right? Document, message, transaction. The bundle is a transaction intended to be processed by a server as an atomic commit. What does this mean? People who come from the database world, your commit rollback.
Commit means final, which cannot be changed.
Right. So you remember the concept of transactions?
Yes, rollover, commit, save point.
If we are writing into multiple tables, either it writes everything or writes nothing. Right? While trying to write, if any problem happens, you have to do a rollback. Something equivalent to that. Okay. Now, so the type is going to be a transaction. So let's go start putting everything into it. Okay. Now, response type, the resource type is bundle. So it first of all needs an identifier. Okay. So identifier, let us say we always take the system. We have been taking this get12 as a system, right? And just go to call this as bundles. Bundle hyphen identifier, okay, and value. I'm going to take a random key generated, okay. And after that, what? So identifier is done. Let me go back. Type. Type. We decided that it's going to be a transaction. Type is transaction. After that, timestamp, I don't need to do total link, all of this. Then is entry. Entry within the bundle will have the resource information, right? So Now I have entry. Entry is a array. After that, what should I have? Entry within entry, the full URL. I don't think so. I need to use. I forgot over here. What should I do? Let me try to see an example. An example of a search response, an example of a transaction. JSON entry. Then I have to start with resource and then the complete resource itself. So entry, then I have to say resource. Within this resource, now what I will do is I have to send we decided we'll send the ECG, right? So take this entire ECG and put it here. Now, this is the resource. Okay. At the same level, what should I do? Go back. I have the entry resource request response. Resource search request. So request dot method I'll say put. Okay, here I'll say request dot method. Third is okay. Do we have, is this complete? Is this how we do? I think so. Okay, let's try. Okay.
But we need to put the 2D echo as well.
Yeah, so I'm putting that one also.
Yeah.
Now over here, this is where the entry started. Now I have to put another entry, right?
Yes.
So within the entry, what did I start with? I started with the resource. So I put the resource and I take the
2D
echo. Take this, put it here. Well, this is the resource. After I put the resource, I have to put the request. Correct? And then, so I put a request. Request method is
post.
Save this. Control A, Control C. Let me go to my session 6. That's it. Add a request. Create a bundle section containing cath lab orders. Bundle transaction containing cath lab orders. So here, what should I do? Should I send it to bundle? No, should not. When you are sending a bundle to a server, you should send it to the base URL.
Okay.
Then
Because it is a base resource.
Yeah.
you have a
Post. Should be post.
Not get.
post.
Yeah.
And send it here. Let's try to send it. Okay.
You didn't add references.
I didn't add the references. Great. So the patient reference was this. This is the patient reference here and the patient reference here. And what was the doctor reference? This was the doctor reference. Okay. Doctor reference. This is the doctor reference for the first one. This is the doctor reference for the second. Try to send it. 200. Okay. Save the request. Save the response. Let us look at the response. What does this response say? Because what you sent was a bundle, but what you sent to the server was a transaction. The server is giving you back a transaction response, right? And then it is saying transaction for the first one, it is created, right? Operation outcome successfully created. For the second one also operation outcome successfully created, right? And this is a service request. Okay. Now successfully created. So if I want to look at a particular service request, so this ends with 06 and this is ending with 05. So what is it saying? It's saying that you want to look at this particular one. Take this. Okay. So if I take this request, is R4 service request. If I do a get, does it give me back what was sent? Yes. So today we learned about how to create a transaction bundle. Correct?
So we have taken ECG and 2D echo as because those are similar in category.
Yes. Because they would have been, they are processing, not similar, they are going to be processed by the same department.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Arun, I have a question here. So,
yes.
Yeah. So ideally, right, in a real world, your HIS or EMR system will have these orders created with their product, and then what FHIR would do is collect that data and would store on the FHIR server. Maybe not in real time in terms of sending this data. FHIR server can be used, but in this case, right, like we would collect that data with individual service request resource if you want to map it.
Mm-hmm.
Correct?
Right. So let me try to answer by asking a few questions. You said you have a system where orders are placed, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Where do you want to transmit to?
Yeah, maybe to the laboratory.
To the laboratory, right? Now, let us, do you come from the HL7 V2 world?
Yeah, I have a little bit idea. Yeah.
How would you encode the same thing in
V2? You're talking in terms of orders, right? So
yes.
I'll place orders, ORMs, and then
Yeah, you have an ORM. How many ORM messages would you have created?
2 ORMs.
Why?
For those 2 orders where we will have the order, there would be 2 placer IDs, right? Basically for these 2 orders.
So you are creating 2 ORM messages, right? Here you are creating 2 service requests in FHIR.
Yeah. Okay.
But there should be some way you are going to manage these 2 together, right? The ORMs, the 2 ORM messages, right? And that's where you have the requisition number. Now here what we are saying is that in FHIR, you could have sent it as a separate FHIR request, separate individual service request you could have sent, or you can send it as a bundle. It is left up to you from a implementation perspective. My duty was to show you the concept of a bundle.
Yeah. No, I just thought to ask, in terms of, real time transaction.
It's a wonderful question, right? So that is where I am trying to make people to think about, while FHIR is a standard, but there are a lot of decisions that you need to make. If you look at today, right, we make data level decisions. What is the correct SNOMED CT code? Should we do it as a bundle? Should we do it as an individual request?
Yeah.
Right? Why should I map a particular data in a particular field? Why not in the other field? Now, whatever I have told you is based on my thought process and my experience. Is it necessary all of us to think in the same way? The answer is no. I am going to use some of the words what my senior said. Arun, healthcare integration is like the services of a doctor. No two doctors will agree on the same treatment line. No two integration specialists will recommend the same same thought process.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, the intention was asking this question was the requisition ID, because it may not be unique, because the orders could be placed with two different systems, and then you may get the result again back. So the request will be different for each of that order, and then you're gonna get that separately. So yeah, you can club it in terms of getting that response in a bundle, where you're maybe searching that result or response with the help of maybe some value, maybe with respect to patient, okay, what orders or what kind of information service request you have, where you will get that response as a bundle. But I was just wondering, right, with this unique requisition ID, will it be possible? Yeah.
All these are challenges. You need to solve them. Okay. I want the next 10 minutes, if these 33 participants are okay, or should we do it next week in terms of profiling?
10 minutes is fine.
The last part of my FHIR basics was part D, right? Profile creation for patient resource. While JP has talked about it, I have many questions, by the way. It is not that I don't have questions. JP, first question I have. Yesterday you were showing about Ayushman Bharat, right? I am interested how to create a website for my own project. How does one create such a website? Because for me, I am working with multiple vendors. I am not liking in actually making it into a Word document or an Excel document. If it's like a web page, I'll go tell them, boss, you go refer to the web page. The web page is a living document. You keep on referring it on a periodic basis. How does one do it? You have any idea?
I mean, we use Tripoli on FHIR to create all these IGs actually internally, but there could be other ones like that FSH, right? Is another way. I don't have much idea around, that side. Like we use Tripoli on FHIR.
So I will tell you what I did.
Okay, great.
Publish it in Excel, right? So this is what I do. It will take only 10 minutes, 10-15 minutes. Is that okay? If I at least have 3-4 people saying okay, I will do it. Otherwise, I'll drop it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Please, please.
Okay. Now, first and foremost, whenever I do profiling, what am I going to do? I am going to do profiling on the base, right? R4 only, right?
Yes.
I somehow need this data in my Excel file.
Arun, you are not sharing your screen yet.
Oh, sorry.
No problem.
Yeah. So if I want to create a profile, what does profiling mean? It is nothing but creating more restrictions on this particular structure, changing the cardinality, right? And also specifying whether I'm going to, what fields am I going to implement or not. Of course, I'm only talking about profiling, okay? I am not talking about extensions. So at least at a high level, JP, that is correct, right? I have to identify which of these fields I am going to implement and what is a changed cardinality. How do I put this into a Excel file? I have come up with the thought process that this is the way how you can do it. Open Excel. Okay. I have copied this particular link. In Excel, you have something called as data. Get from web. Under data, get from web, copy the URL. Click on OK. Wait for a minute or so. Work pass, work. Well, what happened? It's showing yeah,
Going on.
it's going on. It's still processing. So it is saying which table do you want? Okay, most likely it is table 1. I have this right. I'll say transform data. And I'll say all of them is as text. Close and load. I got this. Copy this, except the last line, to a new file. Copy this. So that I have it, right? And the typical things, housekeeping, freeze the first row. Let me just tidy it up a little bit so that it looks nice. But now there's a problem over here. Everything is on the left hand side. Now this is where I'm going to add one more field, and I'll call this as JSON path. And this JSON path is patient. It starts with patient, right? Initially, I was hand coding it, but just 2-3 days back, I found out a different way. So this is a structure, right? Now, if I select identifier over here, what does it say? It goes to the detailed description, right? Now, I will take all of these things, the entire content, okay, and go to ChatGPT, and I'll say, give me lines from the following text that start with element ID. Okay. I copy this in Visual Studio Code, new file, Control Alt down, move this. Now take this into my Excel file and paste this. Is it perfect? No, it is not perfect. And I have understood where it is not perfect. Wherever you have a field that comes with a .x, right? The bottom ones, it is not there. So this is with address. And then again, this is multiple birth. So this is still photo. And now it's linked. Right? And wherever it is X, right? I will have to do it manually. Here, it's automated. Okay. But over here, this is patient.deceased.boolean. Copy this. If any one of you finds a better way, please let me know. Okay. And this is deceased date time. And here this is patient. Multiple birth can be entered in two different ways. By the way, what is this dot? Why is it X? Any one of you know? Can any one of you tell me?
It's
What
a
is-
choice type.
What do you mean by choice type?
You can choose one of those.
One of those.
Uh,
You can choose to represent the data either as Boolean or as an integer. Right? Now, I'll tell you how this helps me. If I have used this in the past in V2, I want to count the number of dots that is there here. For that is equals to len of this minus substitute of, sorry, minus len of substitute of this. And what am I going to substitute? I'm going to substitute any dots with blanks. This gives me a number as a formula. And this, let me just call this as dots. I use a filter.
That means how many hierarchy are there?
Yes. And how many dots are there? So for that alone, I put the indent, whatever is the number of dots, into 2. Now, if this dots is 2, then this indent is 4. And this works only in Excel. It doesn't work in Google Sheets. In Google Sheets, you will have to use @ symbol, something else. And thereby you now have at least an Excel file. Okay. And then what I say, okay, in my particular case, I have not used all of these things. Contact photo, multiple birth, marital status is not used. I'm just taking an example from okay. If it is gray, this is normally the convention that what I use. In case of identifier, I need at least one identifier, and hence it is marked as yellow. I don't like the regular yellow. I take the light yellow. Active needs to be there. Human name, it is mandatory. And in my case, let us say I'm going to get only one human name in my system. Okay. Telecom, it is not mandatory, but it's necessary. Gender is required in my case. Birth date is required in my case. Deceased, okay. Address is used. Okay, sorry, marital status, let's say it is needed. Okay. So JP, does it connect to what you taught us yesterday?
Yes. I mean, we talked about changing the cardinality. Binding, you can leave it now. I think she talked about how we can change the cardinality within the boundaries, right? So what is possible we are doing. We are not doing what is not possible. Though like this is Excel sheet. If one is minimal, we can make it 0, but we are not doing that. But from 0 to 1, we are doing it. At least one mandatory we are doing. Those changes are doing.
Thank you very much for the last 5-10 minutes patience. I hope this has been useful to you.
Really helpful.
A small observation, Arun. What you did for getting the name, that is okay, the resource type followed by the element name in one column, that simply could be done with a concatenate on the first one. Add patient to that, and that's it. Add a patient in the concatenate in the beginning, followed by the element name.
No, how I got the JSON path, you mean to say?
No, the second time that you put that column there, so that could could be simply done with a concatenate, and you don't need to do anything more.
Could be, sir. Could be. Again, Excel, there are various ways in which you can get the dots and things like that. This is the way how I have done.
But Arun, where did you use that zeros 1, 2? I couldn't get actually.
Which zeros, ones?
That dots you got, right? How many dots are there? Where did you use that?
Okay. Where dots, sir?
Yes.
Let me try to showcase that once again. So I need to know how many dots are there in this string, right?
Yes, you found that, but how did you use it anywhere?
Yeah, I used it for indenting, no?
Okay.
Otherwise, the indentation doesn't come, no?
Okay, got it.
See, when we import it, what happens is that it gives me as a line.
Okay.
That is not how it is, right? And this JSON XPath is very helpful for programmers.
Yes.
So I would want to learn from the community not to use Excel, but rather a better way of writing profiling and creating implementation guides. Something like what ABDM has done. Okay. Yes, Dr. Sudha.
Yeah, just an observation or probably a question. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. So the profiling typically for at country level instead of individual implementations doing the uplifting or the heavy tasks. Usually at country level there are, I mean, not all the elements in a resource are really applicable to each and every country, right? That's where the country level organizations, like for example in India, ABDM, and in US,
Yes, core.
they create their own profiles so that all implementations in those countries pick the profiles and they make the changes as per their institute's use cases, right?
Correct.
Yeah, that's the observation I want.
Correct, ma'am. But what if you're working for a country which does not have country level profiles?
Absolutely. That's in many cases it's the same. I live in Switzerland and they don't have, and they're planning to. They're very, very way back. So yeah, that way India is very advanced.
Yeah, Dr. Sudha, having said that, you can use those country level profiles and you can further customize for your organization level implementation also. Okay.
Yeah, that's right. And also, if you need extensions, I think yesterday we discussed about it.
Yes.
Yeah. Thanks.
Does Purushottam, can you unmute and ask your question, please?
Like if you're sending to application, will those applications will have their own profiles which we have to adhere to them before sending it? Do we have to get those specifications or anything?
See, my thought process is this way. Okay. Do you come from V2 basically?
Yes.
Huh?
Yes.
Okay. Again, I'm going to ask you a question. Don't feel bad. Have you any time downloaded the V2 PDF files?
The specifications?
Yes, V2 specifications. Have you downloaded them?
Not much. We use our vendor provision.
Right. So what is it that you use? You use your vendor?
Vendor provisioned specifications. I think the same.
So that is called as your vendor profiles. That's called as a conformance profile.
Okay. Yeah, I asked the same. Okay. So in FHIR also we have to.
So then your vendor should publish that profile, right?
Okay.
So if let us say now let me take it from a different perspective. I am a laboratory information. I am part of an organization which produces a laboratory information system, right? Then in that case, what should I do? I should publish my profiles.
So any system which wants to send to you should adhere to that profile.
Should agree to that, right?
Got it.
You can think it from that perspective, but you can also think it from a project perspective. Let us say you're implementing it for a hospital which has all of these systems, or you're implementing it for a larger entity, right? Like an enterprise or a group of hospitals or whatever. Then all the systems in all the hospitals needs to agree to something, right?
Okay.
That's called as an implementation guide. An implementation guide is a collection of what? Profiles, no? Is it correct? Yeah, conformance profiles. Correct, JP?
Correct.
You create a conformance profile for a single resource. A collection of conformance profiles is a part of an implementation guide. But an implementation guide is more than just only conformance profiles.
We discussed like all the profiles, extensions, APIs, whatever. Like the analogy we're drawing is like having all the business requirement specifications in a single place, everything, right?
Thanks,
In
sir.
open API world, it is called as contracts, API contracts. So,
all right, I think hats up to the patience of the participants and hats up to Arun also. 3 hours almost.
okay, thanks a lot.
Great session.
Thank you.
Okay, I would want all your appreciations. If you can put it on LinkedIn, it will be really great. I will put my LinkedIn. I request all of you to first of all get connected within Zulip, right? And also get connected over LinkedIn, because sometimes I also do post a few things. Okay, very interesting. Please share the newly created bundle. I'll push it into the Git repository. Please connect with me over LinkedIn, and please tag me when I would really appreciate if all the 30 of you can put one single statement of how this particular session was helpful to you. Okay. Thanks a lot. Bye bye. Have a nice weekend.
Same to you. Thank you.